Yo, I do believe we're live. So, I'll say, indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here again on another conscious evolution. Another opportunity for us to consider the world as it is. I've been having a very the world as it is experience as of late. Been doing this intermittent fasting thing, and it has helped me experience the world a little bit differently again. Right? Every single action that you take, every thing that you do will create the world as it is for you. Right? And I have noticed that the world as it is for me seems to be very the word I feel is inconsequential. Right? I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that can sometimes be the experience. Right? And maybe you're wondering, what does that mean? And I think, if anything, I'm saying it from the perspective of trying to evolve in myself past that belief, right? That we have been, in some way or another, convinced that we cannot make a difference. That the system that's in place is so complex, so big, that there's no hope in even trying to change it, right? And I find myself definitely frustrated with that way of being. I have shared with you, friends, my hope, the future that I envision for us with the technologies that are emerging right now, that have emerged a while ago, that have been co opted in so many words by number go up mentality. And unfortunately, the world as it is right now is governed largely by the economy, right? However, if we're going to consider the economy at large when it comes to our direct experience, I feel, again, we can get to a point of powerlessness, right? The economic forces at play are so large that there's nothing that you can do about it, right? Yesterday we had a little bit of a conversation about alcohol consumption, and that's one of those things, right? That the economies at play, the amount of money that is to be made by the sale of these substances, uh, the people that are making the most money from doing that don't want to stop, right? And all of the people that are already drinking are also participating in the economy in one way or another, right? They're earning salaries, they're visiting these establishments, they're buying products from these companies. Those companies are employing people, right? There is an impact being made. And to just take that away would have negative consequences in many ways. My want to control could end up hurting people. Buddy, how's it going? Truly Jay, it's nice to have you here. It's going well with me. I'm feeling, and that's today's stream topic a little bit, right? Today's stream topic is about the world as it is. And I'm feeling a little bit today that I'm a little bit inconsequential, right? But I'm sharing that perspective not from the perspective of that I believe it, but that is a feeling that arises in the human being. I'm not unique when it comes to that feeling, right? But again, I'm sharing it from the perspective as well of trying to transcend that feeling and seeing my environment, the world, the news cycles as something that benefits from me perpetuating in that state of belief that I am inconsequential, that what I do doesn't matter, that my hopes and dreams even me is not the priority. All right, and there is some truth to that. And I feel like that's the part of me that's really considering the depth of that conversation, is that I understand that in some level that's true. All right. But I think that's why we go and seek it in the world as it is sometimes, in our relationships, in our jobs, in our art. But the thing that I'm really trying to think into is this almost like prioritizing of myself, right? To instead of seeing my impact on this world as inconsequential, which in some ways it might be, I am seeing the impact I have on myself, and by extension, those around me as well, as the main priority, right? That is the one thing that is going to be of consequence in my life. And I'm trying to really integrate that way of being so that I find an extreme amount of stability in myself, all right? An extreme amount of agency in the way that I apply myself, in the way that I live my life. I think where it gets a little bit tumultuous is in a time. Would you like to say something on childhood? Some nights feel heavy, not because life is hard, but because childhood feels too far away. Truly, Jay, do you mind telling me how old you are? I am 27 right now. So childhood is what? When do we stop being children? When we turn into teenagers? When do you turn into a teenager? At 14 or at 10? I'm going to say, I don't think I've been a child. At least not in traditional sense. Since I was 13. Right? Something changed around that time. It was during that time that I almost, I don't want to use the word labeled myself as an atheist, but I was an atheist, right? So in that way, I kind of like moved away from my family's belief system. And I think that's one of the first steps that I took as a person instead of as a child. And that's, in a way, what I remember of my childhood, truly, Jay. 18, yeah, you're just out of being a child in that way, right? And this is not me trying to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Condescending. Not at all. Being a child was not an enjoyable experience to me. Yo, it's been a while. It has, Adam Adamson, and here we are, after that while, still present with each other. It's nice having you here. How you doing? How's life been treating you? We're having a conversation about the world as it is. Specifically, the parts of the world that makes us feel inconsequential. Realizing that if that could be true, what isn't true is that your decisions will be inconsequential to you. And if that is the case, then that should be the main consequence that we find ourselves participating within. I entered in adulthood in this 2025. I faced so many problems. Welcome, truly, Jay. I think that's one of the unknown parts about being an adult, is that you will face a lot of problems. Oh my goodness. I have probably faced more problems since becoming an adult, turning 18, than I had 3x during my first 18 years of life. Right? In other words, the amount of problems I have experienced in the last 10 years is 3 times the amount of problems I experienced in the prior 20. I'm not 30 just yet, but I'm on my way there. My mom called me today asking me to do the dishes. And I'd lie if I said I wasn't a little bit like, but they're done. Everything is where they're supposed to be. The kitchen is clean. And my mom just arrived home with my sister. And she's now going to walk into that kitchen and she's going to witness, see with her eyeballs that things are better than when she left. All right, and I get to feel a sense of accomplishment in that. Be like, yeah, consequence. I get to feel consequential because that is what today's stream topic is about. The world as it is can be dirty dishes. Right? Even sometimes dishes already washed but not put away just yet. And in showing up and finding the world as it is, doing what you can to make the world as it could be, you do, slowly but surely. I feel like the dishes is a small microcosm of the point that we're trying to make, but I feel you friends understand what I'm getting at. Right? The world as it is. The world as it will continue to be. Adulthood is only downhill. I don't know if that's true. There are upsides. Hey, Dan is here with us as well. Hey, Melt fam. Back at work, he says. That's also a part of adulthood, dear friend. Having to go back to work. Jeebies. Yeah, adulthood is not easy. I fantasized, idealized, longed for being an adult when I was a child. And now that I find myself as an adult, I think I was right. Yeah, didn't think you were gonna hear that, did you? Yeah, I think I was right. Right to want to be an adult as a child. I like being an adult. I did not appreciate being a child because I was treated as such. I also don't really appreciate being treated as a child as an adult. Even though I'll let myself have childlike joy and giddy. And I think maybe that's in part why people rob that of themselves, because they feel if they display childhood giddy, childlike giddy, or joy in the appreciation or experience, they might be treated as such. Right? And we can't have that. So if anything, right, that's what I'll give you as advice, truly. If you don't want to, what's the word that you used? If you don't want to feel heavy with how far childhood is, allow yourself to experience joy like a child today. There are some things that I do that's not always accessible to other people that I understand. However, when you do find yourself in this situation, allow yourself to appreciate things. Even if it means looking like a dork. All right. Let yourself look a dork. Don't let yourself be bullied by the inner child or the inner bullies that we carry with us. Mm-hmm. I miss your old days. Do you miss your old days or old Melt? You know, I actually went down a rabbit hole like that recently, truly, Jay. So the fact that you ask is a good opportunity for me to tell you about that. There, there has been challenges in my life, right? Things that I never thought I'd experience. And upon experiencing them, the pain it brought me and the dismay, right? The sense of almost like loss that I felt made me feel like I lost myself, right? That the joyous, upbeat, happy-go-lucky, hopeful person that I used to be, I believed was killed due to the pain I had experienced in my life since then, right? And I don't have an infinite way to look back, but with these live streams, I could look back at least 5 years ago. And then I did. I looked back at that version of me and I listened to them. And then I skipped 100 days forward and I listened to that version of me. 100 days forward, that version of me. Day 300, day 400, day 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000, right? And as I kept going, I realized that I actually have become more, not less. Even though there is this ability, this room in me, all right? And maybe that could be, again, the advice I'll give you. Uh, Journal. Maybe that could be, if you don't want to do daily live streams, start journaling today, right? Write down the problems that you face, the worries that you have, the way you see yourself progressing, right? What you want to happen, kind of thing. Write that stuff down, right? And then reflect on that as you go forward. Hello. You'll realize as you go that the version of you that you are right now is mature in ways that you want to be. You don't really want to go back to. At least I don't. Welkom terug.
Dankie.
Lekker dag gehad?
Ja, dankie. Jij?
Heel rustig. Hoe lang ben ik al bezig geweest? Oké, goed. Oké, nog niet, maar goed. Weggebaren nu. Nee, dat is nog niet kans. Maar die andere goed is weggepakt. Ja, welkom. Hello everyone. Hello Darren. Hello. We gaan het met jou. How's it going? It's nice to have you here with us. I'm also dealing with adulthood. Yo, we said it at the same time. Yeah. The clown-to-clown communication is happening. Oh, worker. I'm eating peanut butter and watching Blue's Clues with my kid. Blue's Clues? I know Bluey, and I do think I know Blue's Clues. I just never watched an episode myself. It's an interesting burp species, making interesting sounds. Long-tailed duties. Do like myself some burpees. For real though, parenthood is hard, you guys. Yeah. If you think adulthood is challenging, try parenthood, Sam says. I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore, Sam. Will I ever be a father? Starting to seem more and more unlikely. It's definitely not going to be happening anytime soon. No way, Sam. I don't want no kids. Right, Dan? Can you imagine having kids right now as well, dude? Top of all of the other challenges we're facing. There's some interesting stuff happening in this tree. I think there's a new bird that joined, and all of the other birds do not want them here. Like, they're making it very vocal. What? I don't know what birds these are. The Indian miners also are trying to chase them away. There it goes. You see them chasing the birds. They're like really upset. Very interesting birdies. Having a whole battle here for their territory. You see the other birds chasing them. Jeebies. I don't know what species they are. I wish they would stay. They're beautiful. But it seems the other birds are terrorizing them a little bit. Can you let the other burbies be? There's more than enough space here, please. I like the new burbies. I don't know what they are, though. They are big. Dat is wel cool. Ik heb hem al gezien. Dat is een nieuwe type voeltje wat ik hier gezien. Die andere voeltjes staan weg, ja. Ja, dat is niet baie gelukkig met Elisa. I just got to capture some of the bird battles that you've ran. How interesting. Blue's Clues. I used to watch this cartoon back in 2012 to 2013. Now, you were still a kid back then. If you're 18 right now, you were born, what, 2008? Yeah, 2007, 2008. Such interesting burbies. Hello! I'm chill with you. I wonder how much of the chaos you can hear. There's like a lot going on in the air right now. Birds are screaming. And these new burbies are very vocal. Squawk, 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 squawk. All right, season 1 with Steve Mann. We're in the good old days over here. There comes a bunch of the Indian miners and one of the new ones. The Indian mynas seem to be getting terrorized by them. They seem very perturbed. But these birds are beautiful. They got long tails, got spots on them. But the Indian mynas are messing with them. And the Indian mynas are technically invasive species as well. This is like, say, invasive species. Usually I don't mind them, but the fact that they're chasing away the other burbies is messing with me right now. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. I can say I like that. Dear inner child, it's okay if you build walls to protect yourself, but you can open windows on those walls to let the light in. That's beautiful. True as well. Hey Darren, Dan saying, the thing I never anticipated about adulthood is how much time I spend by myself. That part snuck up on me. It's interesting that you say that, Dan. That's the part of adulthood that I looked forward to the most. Right? As a child, I was always controlled. I had to be somewhere at a certain place. I had to do sport at this time. I had to go to school. I had to have homework done the next day. I had to study for tests. Always somebody freaking messing with me and my time and wanting me to do stuff that I don't want to do. Right? So one of the things that I looked forward to as a child is just the freedom to make my own decisions and in the extension of experience the consequences of them, for myself. And I really value my own time. And I have a good relationship with myself for the most part. So I enjoy being alone as well, right? I enjoy my own company to the point where even if I'm in a time-dilated state, being stuck by myself, I really find deep joy and satisfaction in noticing the way my mind unfolds. And I remember that about my young self as well, right? When I was a kid, that's all I wanted to be. That's all I wanted to do. And then people would keep telling me to do something else over and over again. And it drove me insane. So it's interesting. Do you appreciate being alone? Or is it something that you've not been enjoying? Amina Boo Baker. Hi to you too. Interesting username. Sending you love. We're having a conversation about the world as it is today. And specifically, the way in which it might make you feel inconsequential. And then realizing that the only thing that's not consequential is your experience as you're having it. So that should be the priority, right? For you to control your experience, to be mindful of your experience. There are 8 billion of us, right? It's impossible for us to consider every single human being. But it is in our realm of possibility to at least consider ourselves, right? I think it's in the words, I'm forgetting its name. I'm pretty sure it's Eastern philosophy about creating a safe space. Man, as he was dying of, I think, bowel cancer or stomach cancer, was writing this piece about how no matter what the situation is in the outside world, you should have a place inside of you in which you can find peace. And I do believe I have that place inside of me, but becoming aware of it, extra mindful of it, makes me take it a little bit more seriously. All right, that I can be more deliberate with it, in so many words. Controlling that little inner world. I think about the kitchen show off. I think sometimes we all must nourish the inner child we've all left behind somewhere. I believe the inner child is inside of you, right? That you grow out dimensionally from that inner child that you used to be. And that coming back to that inner child, at least in yoga, is as simple as putting yourself in a child's pose and then considering that child inside of you. If I do my job correctly, and I don't always get it that good, when you find yourself in that child's pose, it feels very significant. It dawns upon you that you have this inner child. I had a moment like that with Aaron that was very wholesome. Made being a yoga teacher all worth it. Sam says, new verbs could be predatory or invasive or just assholes. We don't know. We don't speak bird. But I do hear them having beef up there. Best to leave them to it. Yeah, they do seem to have been driven away from the space. The Indian miners were doing a lot of the work though. But the small burbies were also very upset. They could be assholes, as you said, predatory. They could like eat the baby birds or something. And by the size of them, and I'm pretty sure they did have sharp little beaks, they could be carnivorous. Carnivorous little burbies. So maybe that was it. Sometimes I forget that there's a beautiful world like that. Living in the city, full of buildings and all. Yet I love nature. At least in some ways, nature prevails. Right? This place that I'm in right now is so far away from the chaos that nature reigns supreme for the most part. But again, that peace that we find ourselves in needs to be achievable within ourselves, no matter where we find ourselves. When I was in China during lockdown, I would go up, because that was the access to the outside world I had. I would go up to the top floor, the toppity top floor, right? The open floor, if you will, of the building I was in. And then I would stare over the city from 42 floors high. And then I would stare down at the ground. And I would think to myself, wow, that's a long drop. And then I would meditate in that space, and I would find myself content in being. Right? I remember at that point a deep consideration of almost wanting to do all of the things that I was doing, but just wanting to do it amongst people like me. Right? People that would understand what it is I'm doing and would want to do it with me. And I remember that was my biggest issue. Right? I felt inconsequential in that world as well, because it was very hard for me to communicate. There was nobody to talk to. The time zones were as such that they were not exactly aligned properly with the other worlds as well. Right, back home, people were in the middle of their day when I finished mine. And then I would fall asleep by the time that they were free. Even then, I dedicated a lot of time to my own inner experience. However, back then I wasn't aware of the fact that that was what I was doing. One of the inner comforts I found was eating. So I did, and gained a lot of weight because of it. Controlling our inner world. The world as it is. All right? The world as it actually is. Wow, I'm old. I was watching Blue's Clues in like 99. I was born in 98, Dad. Don't go there, bro. Push past insanity. Polly of the Planet by Meltmore. Nice. Sounds like a cool album. You hear that, internet? You should control your experience. That's right, internet. Better control your experience. In those many words, the response comes, "You are loved by me." That's wholesome. I'm glad you're interrogating this. I'm thinking today, this thinking today. Little by little, we do every day, dear hoopty hoops. I have never come into this space and I've claimed myself to be intellect supreme. All right, everybody, listen to me. Sit down and change your entire life based on what I'm going to tell you next. Never, never, not once have I done that. Right, because I understand that I feel almost like simply enough, even if, even if I manage to perfectly portray the depth of the thought that I had, it's still going to arrive differently with you than it did for me in having it. Right? And in that way, it's impossible for me to expect any, to keep it related to today's stream topic, to have any consequence sometimes. Right? Because at the end of the day, you are of ultimate consequence. Hello, Eva. You want to come and sit on my lap or something? No? Yeah, you are of ultimate consequence, right? Because it is a matter of your experience in yourself. Whatever it is you do is going to have a consequence for you. And I do these live streams every day with the consequence of realizing that showing up is what is of importance. Eva, Eva, kom hier zo. Kom hier zo. I just saw a big old hitchhiker on you. She looks like she took a fall, a slide as well somewhere. Did you fall down? You want to eat that thing? This is the little hitchhiker that I took off of you. Indeed. Are we having no revelations or revolutions today? Only forgotten names of lost gods will be recalled. Claim the consequence hashtag. It's not important, but I am a consequence of stupid. I think all of us, in some ways, have been consequence of stupid, bro. I think that's one of the integral parts of being a human. I think the point I'm trying to make is realize that after you are the consequence of stupid. It's up to you to continue to perpetuate or not. Right? If I make a mistake, I can own up to it. I can acknowledge that this is how I stepped wrong, and then I can look forward to the future. Or I can make a mistake and I can beat myself up about it and tell myself what a horrible person I am and how this has now ruined my life and my chance of happiness and right? And I feel like that would be stupid. And the consequence that you would pay believing that would be far greater than any stupid act or decision that you've made. Right? I feel like that's what today's whole gist. The gist of today is about that exactly. Realizing that you have so much more consequence than you'll give yourself credit for. That you do actually have the capacity to change the world. And then taking a great deal of pride in changing it for yourself. Right? Realizing that the person that's going to experience the changed world the most is going to be you, at least as much as it relates to your experience. And I'm not trying to say that it's not just to want to make the world a better place for others. I think there is a lot of that in us as well. I'm just trying to almost like learn this lesson that I am supposed to start at home. One of the things that my mom taught us growing up as children is that charity starts at home. Her her grandparents or her grandparents' grandparents, her grandparents' parents, I think. Excuse me if I don't have it exactly right. We're one of the first people in South Africa to have electricity and to have a vehicle. Right? So in that way, they were very privileged and financially abundant. And because of the good heart of my great grandpa or whatever, they lost everything because they kept giving out loans, kept giving. Yeah, borgestaan. That's basically a loan, right? Exactly. He was the collateral. And then because of that, there was a, let's call it a change of trajectory, right? And the way I imagine it is probably this prioritizing fractal of like in his mind, he was doing the right thing. He was prioritizing, the community or this hope, this dream, this potential change that could come. This person, trusted this person outside of the self. And I feel like there are probably instances, many so, where the trust of an outside source like that led to abundance or led to prosperity. However, uh, hindsight is 2020. And the lesson that I've been learning is that the only, again, experience that I can control is my own. And it is something as simple as just appreciating where I am, whenever I am. I believe that that is the one thing that I can keep coming back to, no matter where I find myself. That is what I keep coming back to, no matter where I find myself. It's just appreciating existence as it is. Being in awe, that's the big one as well, right? There's some part of my appreciation that is an extension of my awe. How flabbergasted I am with the greatness of the world that I'm in. Realizing that there is so much more than I can even fathom going on, that have happened, that will happen, that is happening right now in front of me in this moment. Just made sure that this thing is still working as it's supposed to. I trust that it is. Claim the consequence. Hashtag. It's not important. But I am a consequence of stupid. Did you say that again? I think I've read that one before. Mount, you really making it too melt. You're really making it too easy, brother. Let's just start where we are. I've not understood, unfortunately, much of the sentences that you said, so I don't know what is being made easy. But for me, at the very least, the point is to make your life a little bit easier. Yesterday we had a conversation. Yesterday's stream topic was about being helpful, right? That I am in so many ways trying to be helpful. And if I can make things easy for you, that seems helpful to me, right? Even if the easy thing that is to you is for you to realize how further along you are on your path than I am, how much I still have to learn in comparison to you, right? If that is what you extract from these streams, then I can't say that I don't want you to have that. Think about yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday with Sam and Jaju laughing at me for the Mark Rubio is Hulk thing? Is Mark Rubio Hulk? No, it's Mark Ruffalo, right? And I think Mark Rubio, I'm not even sure, but I think Mark Rubio, and that's the joke that was made, is like a part of the administration or something like that, right? Like a political figure. And again, it was not my exact intention in that moment to be comedic with my mistake. However, the way that that experience was experienced on the other side, right? The experience that it brought to the heart of the other person is it made it easy for them to laugh. It made it easy for them to make fun a little bit, right? To joke about uh, the administration in a way that's not, at least I didn't feel vindictive, and still felt very like lightening around that whole fractal, because there can be a lot of anger and hatred as well, towards these fractals. So being able to laugh a little bit about it felt like a happy consequence of me making a mistake, right? Me making it easy by being. And again, I don't think that's a bad thing. Uh, I always start where I am. Sometimes it takes me a while to get back here again, but I'm never more than a thought away. You know what's easy? Choosing a gut health each morning. Choosing your gut health each morning. When you start your day with Swagger, trademarked. Yep. Swagger, as seen on TV. When, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, I wanted to like make jokes about Brad Pitt and uh, Steve Buscemi. I don't know. I don't know why I went Steve Buscemi, but Steve Buscemi eating Swagger, and they love it. They said so. Right. Trust me, bro. Am I allowed to do that? Or is that like an a-rigor? Even if I'm doing so jokingly. I think it only becomes illegal if we actually have the Swagger product and we are in fact selling it under the pretense that it's Steve Buscemi's favorite yogurt. The label mock-ups use money in place of the S, don't they? Of course. Money, and then I had a whole idea. I was even like doing some concepting on this side, right? Because swag to some people means something you can keep or decorate with or dress something with, right? In some ways, stickers, I thought to myself, can be swag. And then I thought to myself in thinking that if we're going to create Swaggart, we should have like the pull tab, right, be like a sticker that you can pull off, and then you have a little piece of swag that you can put on your devices or whatever. And then my mind was doing a bunch of graphic design about what the little Swaggart sachets would look like, right? I don't even think we need celebrity endorsement, right? Because again, like part of me, Dan, is legitimately considering this whole fractal, right? Part of me likes the idea of it, but I don't know if I like the idea of celebrity endorsement. We do live in the. I should stop. I should stop. I'm gonna stop saying the things that I wanted to say. Yeah, that's well advised. Thank you, my angels. Oh, love is true. That it is. We live in a wild world. Wild world. Not celebrities, hip hop artists. Uh, I don't know if that makes it better to me than people of notoriety, right? If any percentage of our budget or Swagger TM has to go towards, uh, let's say hip hop artists instead of celebrities, right? It's going to be problematic to me because the machine of efficiency is going to look at that and be like, how about nah? How about instead of having T-Pain or something's face on our swaggered packs, How about we just spend that amount of money that he asked us to pay him for his likeness and endorsement on marketing? All right. And then it's a metric that we can measure. Yes. They are hip hop artists, bro. I'm sorry. Uh, I'm sorry. Like I don't know any hip hop artists. Is T Pain even? Hey Google, is T Pain a hip hop artist? Man, it's really thinking about it. It's like, yes, T Pain is widely considered a hip hop and R&B artist. Look at me. I'm hip like the kids. Look at us. We're the same, me and you, knowing what hip hop is and stuff. You know, similar tastes. We're so the same. I know I have a good stream. Wind Chat says I have them laughing out loud. Yeah, it is a good feeling, isn't it, Hoopy? That you can generate laughter out there in the world. Uh, you just get your AARP registration in the mail, then you're still calling them hip hop artists, grandpa. Yossi. Suddenly Sam puts on the gloves. I don't know what you did. What did we do? What did we do? You get your AARP registration in the mail. Hip hop is the style of beats, and rapping is what you do over top of the hip hop beat. That moment when you know what hip hop is again. I mean, reminded that you've known all the time from the start. Yep, that's how it is. Oh, yeah. I don't know, Dan. I don't know, bro. I'll make a competing Swaggart brand. I'll spell my Swaggart with a Z or something. Swaggart. And then I'll do uh, like a lot of market penetration ads, and maybe I'll do like some self promotion. You know, maybe I'll make like a whole little mini series where I ask people to try Swaggart, and then I uh, fist fight them afterwards. I don't know why I went there. I was thinking what would get clicks. That would get clicks. Here, try this Swaggart. And then as they try the Swaggart and you go, how do you like it? And then as they start talking, you cut to both of you fist fighting. I just copyrighted Swaggart. I'll call it Swaggart with one G. Copyright. Swaggart. Yeah, try. Oh, I can go tit for tat. Why? So we can produce your own cheap Timu knockoff? Copyright. uh, I'm gonna just think all of the names. I'm not gonna say them out loud. All right, I'll start 7 parallel businesses. All right, all of them that has the same manufacturer, of course, and then you just change the output machine, for labeling and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a whole team of graphic designers working around the clock, creating new and more sophisticated knockoffs. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. I'm pretty sure there's already a product like that, right? Is it Go-Gurts? Hey Google, what is Go-Gurt? I think there's already such a product, isn't it? I'm slinging these copyright bros. You'll have to. Go-Gurt is a brand of low-fat yogurt packaged in flexible plastic tubes designed to be squeezed and eaten without a spoon. Produced by a Yoplait, it is marketed as a convenient portable snack for children and can be eaten refrigerated and frozen. I guess you can, but I never really thought about that. That would be better. Uh, what is the market cap of Go-Gurt and how much product volume do they sell a year? I'm doing some market research. Google wrap snacks melt. Swaggart is Go-Gurt's meets wrap snacks. Like you're actually meeting, like you're like this. People actually made a product called wrap snacks. Swaggart, strawberries, cream Swaggart, blueberries Swaggart, cream cheesecake party. You know what? You might be onto something of the Z, right? Right. Adds an extra level of swag to it. I mean, swag to it. Google it. No, I believe you. I believe you. I'm doing market research right now. Good morning, market team. Go-Gurt does not have an individual market cap because it's a brand owned by General Mills. Rather than a standalone public company, General Mills has a total market capitalization of 40 billion US dollars. That's a lot of billions of US dollars. However, the annual volume, Go what? Go-Gurt is a category leader, selling over 1 billion tubes per year. Excuse me? Excuse me, 1 billion? I haven't had a single Go-Gurt in my life. Have I been missing out? 1 billion a year. 1 billion a year. At what? $1 a tube? $2? Maybe $1. It's still $1 billion. Maybe you only take like 10% profit. 100 million US dollar business selling yogurt in tubes. My sister wants to be a food scientist, you know. Yeah, it's not a bad idea actually. I mean, it already exists, obviously. There is more probiotic mindfulness as well. I can see Dan starting to spin his wheels. It's like, yeah, but I'm being serious about the swagger. I'm not. I've been joking alongside you this whole time. I can see the vision. I can see the vision. They go. They got that sleep advertising now. Dog, this is what I'm saying. Both concepts, Go-Gurt and Wrap Snacks, are market tested. They are very much so. Again, I've not been denying it being possible. It's just going to take a lot of initial capital. We're going to have a lot of money, right, to actually try and break into the industry. And I don't know if hip hop endorsement is the way. Again, I think it's going to be more meme culture. We're going to have to get into meme culture, not the hip hop world. Because again, right, I don't actually think a serious person that actually likes hip hop will buy a Swaggered product. They'll be like, they'll probably think their favorite hip hop artist is sellout for partnering with a yogurt brand. Right? They'll be like, they'll lose interest in the music, and in that way, you're gonna fight an uphill battle. The amount of money you're gonna have to offer the hip hop artist for him to consider the amount of social backlash from his fans. I'm brainstorming here with you, Dan. We can pivot though. Maybe we pivot a little bit. $1 billion, billion sales. Yeah, $100+ million franchise. There it goes. Market context, it belongs to the portable yogurt category, which is a significant portion of the $10+ billion US yogurt market. Just in the US alone, there's 10 billies of yogurt being sold a year. That's many billies. But again, bro, the industries that we're competing with, we're going to, like, I believe at least, the only way that it's going to work realistically is either if you have an exert. I wanted to say obscene, extreme, and absurd at the same time. If you have an obscene amount of budget, maybe you could market hard enough that you can actually make enough impact to start selling volume and then get return customers to start having a business. But the only way that I see it happening in the short term is with direct to consumer sales, right? You have to build an audience and have them convinced that this is something that they want, right? Start moving small volume at least. As a start, mm, hey, Wahid Nan, it's nice having you here with us. Mm, okay, so can we include backwards playable tracks to instruct our customers to join the cult? Ideas, anyone? I mean, that would be the dream, right? We we put perforations on like the side skirt of the little package that if you slide your nail over it, it starts making sounds at pitches that can be audible and decipherable as messages. Yes, yes. My brains. My brain is already filled with all of these crackpot ideas that I'll never use. Why? Why? They got that sleep advertising now. Dog, this is what I'm saying. Love is true. You're missing so out. So you got that Lightspeed Briefs commercial too, Dan. Hip hop fans love rap snacks melt. They do. Hey Google, show me rap snacks. Product is being sold at Target, it seems. Rap snacks, variety pack. Oh, it's I don't know, bro. It instantly makes me cringe. Oh, like maybe this is my own personal fractal, but I, as a consumer, refuse. Like literally, this is a personal character trait. If a person puts their face on a product, I refuse to purchase it. Right? Like if I'm buying myself tomato sauce, right, and there's a person on the tomato sauce, my autistic ass imagines there's some part of the person in the tomato sauce, right? Right? Like unless there's Snoop Dogg in that barbecue cheddar chips pack, then his face should not be on the chips pack. Oh, 11, $12 for a variety box. 12 bucks, 18-ounce variety box. Will you get 18 1-ounce individual bags? That's not too bad. It's not actually too bad. You want to compete with that, bro? Like the profit margins. Ja, is 30 lang. Ik krijg, wat kies? Ja, maar je krijgt 18 van dat. Hierdie is nie yoghurt nie, hierdie is rap snacks. Yes, you can pay for it in 4 interest-free payments. Like, why? Why? Fat. 9 grams of fat per serving. A sweet chili lemon pepper. These are like crisps, aren't they? They're high in carbs, low in protein. What are these things? Here we go. Potatoes. There we go. Potatoes, vegetable oils. Ha. Potato fries. 240 rand for 18 bags. So you're making like 15 randish a bag. And they are pretty small bags. I guess you probably do have some more profit margins, but again, I would not be caught dead eating out of a bag like that. Like you would not catch me. Like if you gave it to me for free, I'd probably put it in another bowl and then eat that shit. Love you, wonderful people. Hey, Xiao. It's nice having you here. Sending you so much love. We're having conversations about Swaggart again. Frickin' Swaggart. Swaggart is back. Rap Snacks. Hey, Google. When was Rap Snacks released? No, no, bro. This dude thinks he can just rock up and sit on the cushion here with me. Whoa! Yossi, bro. I don't know if you know this, Dan. Rap Snacks was released in 1994. But they only actually started releasing high profile partnerships with artists like Migos, which I don't know. I think I've heard of Fetty Wap and Romeo Miller, which I also don't know. The brand is more than 30 years old. The first bags were sold for just 25 cents and featured a character called MC Potato before the brand began its iconic practice of featuring real hip hop artists on the packaging. What does the data say about their increase in sales when they started featuring real hip hop artists on the bags? And do they know what their sales are per year? I didn't. That is old as me, right? You were born in the same age. Maybe that explains some of the swaggered obsession. Ugh. Okay. Well, the brand began in 1994. It reached its first major milestone in the early 2000s, growing into a $5 million business by featuring artists like Master P and Meek Mill. Mm. However, the most explosive growth followed its 2016 launch. There was a strategic pivot. The brand moved from small 25-cent bags to larger, higher priced bags and national distribution in stores like Walmart and Target. There was high profile partners, Migos, Cardi B, Little Baby, dramatically increasing brand visibility and demand. And then by 2022, the brand was targeting a slice of the 40 billion. Don't tell me a slice of, I want to know actual numbers. So the historical peak was 5 million US dollar company. And apparently they've seen 100% 3-year growth to Canada. They're not making money. I think if we give ourselves 30 years, Dan, we can build something worth more. Needing it snacks and like we can do a lot more. Dan has been joking about making a brand called Swaggart, which is again the pouch yogurt that features hip hop artists. And it was a joke, like it's a long running joke in the community now, like 5 years almost, 4 and a bit years of like running joke. And yeah, food is definitely a good direction to lean into, but the thing that I think I'm going to try and build as a business that I think could be worth more than that is experiences, right? The theater, in large part, is a little bit dead. I feel like people want things to be more interactive, more appreciatable is almost the word that I want to use, right? I found myself, me and the family watched the new Avatar movie recently. I found myself irritated by the fact that I cannot pause and appreciate some of the scenes. All right? I was like, this sucks. Yes, it's big. Yes, it's being viewed through 3D glasses. But the fact that I cannot pause it and just appreciate it for what it is felt like a quality of life lack, right? And I noticed a lot about our behavior as well as a family that showed me that there clearly is this demand for filling our time with something that we can see as beautiful or valuable. Besonder is the word that came up, right? How can I create a besonderse? Hey Google, Translate the word besonder from Afrikaans to English. It did not even. Besonder. Exceptional, I feel, is the word. There we go. Yeah, besonder, especially or particular. Besonder speciaal. There we go. Extraordinary. That's another one too. How can I create extraordinary experiences for people that they would be willing to pay for? And the thing about experiences is that if we're thinking about it from a business perspective, there are higher margins, right? Because after I've created the experience, that was the expensive part. And because of my technomancer proclivities, it is cheaper for me to recreate already created work in the digital space or with the use of light than it would be for me to make new of every time. Some things can be recreated, right? Souvenirs and stuff. Maybe even like a souvenir can be considered something that has to be purchased. Part of me would like the space to be interactive in that way as well. All right, that you could take some of the most spectacular pieces with you if you wanted to. Sucking at scale, the quality of light eroded the speed of besonder. Cheaper, make it cheaper. I don't think it's about making something cheap, right? It's about realizing that everything in business takes a certain amount of money for you to get started, right? And if the barrier to entry is having to pay artists significant amount of money for their likenesses and have massive fabrication set up, have massive volumes that we have to sign off on, refrigeration costs, distribution, etc., etc. It makes me start to consider what is in my control first. And in that way, I have to start from a cheaper place. Otherwise, my ability to break into maybe eventually that world is going to be a little bit compromised. All right. It's a matter of seeing the world as it is, dear hoopty hoops. Now, bro, that's not the idea. We just make a mock up and then sell the concept. Yeah. Ideas are abundant these days, right? I feel like that's the hard part to like justify somebody paying you for yours as well, especially living in the age that we do. Then you take that money and reinvent it in a better idea. I've seen people do that. That's not a flawed concept that you're sharing. Like it happens especially so in the tech world where an idea is sold to a big company and then the person who sold that idea uses everything that they learned to go and apply the lessons better to make an even more sophisticated product afterwards. Realizing time takes starting playing the money game. Got it. Realizing time that it takes to start playing the money game. I don't think it's supposed to be seen as a money game. If anything, the way that I'm trying to see it is how can I create something that people want to spend their times on? Right? That is if we're going to consider it a problem, right? Businesses have problem statements, right? If I'm a very good business, I am trying to solve a problem for my clients. And maybe you like yogurt, but the problem is you don't like carrying a spoon with you. So the solution is a product like Swagger, right? And that's why they're apparently selling 1 billion units a year because they've solved that problem for people. And that's what I'm trying to get good at, Hoopy Hoops. So, how can I get better at solving problems? And especially, what kind of problems do we find ourselves facing in the future? I think the whole food fractal can be a worthy direction to go in because even if we solve most of our human problems, we're still going to be eating things and we're still going to like certain things and other things less so. There's a mosquito hunting me. It's finding Kobe first. Kobe, it's a mosquito eating you, bro. You should run. You should run away, Kobe. Yeah. Learning. Learning how to be in the world as it is instead of hating my experience, right? How can I solve problems for other people? And the problem that I want to solve for people in the future is a sense of amazement, an appreciation, beauty, spectacle, extraordinary visuals, beautiful sounds, depth. I do want people to feel like they're stepping into another world. Like I had that experience a few times during this trip that we went on as well. I feel technically twice, and both of them were at the same place. They were like a singular unit operating together. One of them was the monkey land, and the other was the bird sanctuary. And both of those experiences had this, oh, you're in the real world, or you're in the normal world, the world as it is. And then suddenly, you're not in the world as it is anymore. And you're suddenly in the world as this creature has it, right? In the one, it was the primates, the monkeys. You're suddenly now in the monkey's world. And then in the other, it was the birds. You're suddenly in the birds' world. And I do consider myself a creature of the machines. And it can be, of course, scary in all of its complexity and the collective unknown. But the way that I'm trying to use my experience is very particular. And it might not be something that is of value to everybody. But it will be to some. I think the biggest limitation or obstacle to overcome is finding a place. Building new ones is expensive. Building new ones do give you the freedom to make it as you want it to be. Scale is the hardest thing to get right in the ideas that I have right now. I still have so much growing to do. So much. Never ending amount of growth ahead of me. I appreciate you, friends, taking this moment to see the world as it is with me for a bit. Notice a little bit of the growth that is ahead of us. Appreciate the growth that we've already participated within. I'm going to show you a flower, read you a poem. Whoa, more than a moment. That's nice of you. Hoopty hoops. Thank you for blessing me with abundance from your side of the world. I was building in my mind for a moment, for more than a moment, for moments that are still to come. I look forward to building alongside you, dear friend. Thank you for blessing me with resources to continue building with. You are loved, respected, and appreciated. May your day be filled with peace and productivity, beauty, patience, mindful participation in the experience as you're having it. Bro, do not fight me, machine. Aw, yo, heart-izing my work. That's awesome. It's nice to have you here with us. There's some hearts there. Look at that little entity. No, don't go away. There's a little duty there too. Or this one there. I had an acid trip like that once. Yes. Yes, exactly. PDG. That's how it be, bro. The ability to capture some of those experiences. I make one a day. I've been making one a day for a long time. For at least such many days. Days of my life. Represented as small little fractals of beauty. Something that you can look at and not immediately have your eyeballs assaulted by something that you wish you didn't see, right? I mentioned a little bit ago that there is a fractal to me where sometimes I see things on the internet that makes me wish I could forget, right? I wish I didn't see that, sometimes I say. However, I would like to believe that it will never be like that from my work. Maybe you'll see some funky looking entity in one of the flowers, but it should at least not offend your soul. They look like cool squares when you lay them out like that. All of these, when there's such big bunches of them together. It is nice like scrolling like this and then just clicking on a random one. They've come from so far. Each of these has a little story attached to it as well. I like sometimes just going down them and then seeing one that catches my attention. Like this one, for example, called me to it. I was like, yes, witness me, this little flower said. And then I'll go and check what this flower's number is. I'll even do like a little copy my copies. Copy the last 5 digit of its serial number. The number that it generates automatically when the file is saved. And then I'll go to my Patreon and I'll hit this filter button and then it does nothing. I'll hit this search button. I'll put this number in there. And then I'll find a flower. I'll find that flower. I'll find that flower. Right, there it is. However, this one, and then there was 3. I'll be missing thee. I think this was during, was it during the time that me and Joe were together? Probably. I committed myself to so much presence that I ended up not spending as much time trying to get the poems down. What an experience. A story attached to that flower, right? And suddenly I get to remember some things about myself again. Hey Melt fam, what a foggy day there. It's not really foggy, it's just exposure. Exposure be exposuring not properly. One of these days I'll have camera technology good enough that it can have me. I probably just have to have better lighting, realistically. If I had like really good lighting, bright lighting on myself, I think it would be able to compensate with the balancing that you could see all of that back there a little bit better. It's super foggy here today too. Oh, maybe you mean like foggy day. You did say there. Maybe it's foggy where you are as well. Long time chatter. Love is true. Dream Tooth. It's nice to have you here. You really have been a long time chatter. It's true. Let me read you the poem that went alongside this one. Yesterday's fractal was about trying to be helpful. And that is what this poem is called. Trying to be helpful isn't a plan. It happens before thought, like a hand reaching out because something nearby feels off balance. Not heroic, not dramatic, just the quiet decision to not look away. That's where it starts and that's where it gets complicated. Because care is rarely received the way it is sent. What we mean as steadiness can feel like pressure. What we offer as attention can feel like interruption. Even kindness can arrive too close to the edge of someone else's rhythm. So the moment teaches us quickly, intention does not get to decide the outcome. Still, we try, because being helpful isn't about control. It's about participation, about entering the situation knowing we might misstep, knowing we won't get a clean result, knowing we may have to carry a little bit of discomfort afterwards. Trying to be helpful means acting without the promise of being understood. It means learning the difference between fixing and tending, between stepping in and staying aware. Sometimes the most honest help doesn't solve anything, it just prevents things from getting worse. A small reduction in strain, a moment where harm doesn't deepen because someone chose to respond instead of freeze. That counts more than we admit. There's humility in realizing that our help won't be perfect, that we will sometimes arrive with hands that are too loud, or timing that's off by seconds, or care that hasn't yet learned how to be light. So we adjust, we listen, we soften the grip. And when we've done what we can, we let go. We don't linger for approval. We don't demand proof that it mattered. We trust that effort, when honest, has its own quiet consequence. Trying to be helpful is not about being good. It's about staying human in moments that ask something of us. It's about choosing presence over perfection, care over certainty, leaving things just a little less tense than we found them, not saved, not resolved, just steadier. And that is how the world keeps moving. Not through grand solutions, but through small, sincere attempts to make this moment more livable. You friends do that all the time. I appreciate for having so many friends to live in this moment with. Little by little, every single day, getting to share this moment with you. That's the world that we're in, that we keep showing up for here. Thank you for joining me. It is appreciated. Being seen, getting to see you here with me. I'll see you friends again soon. Let me just check something. Trust that is all. Love to you. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you friends again tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody. Love to you. And cheers for now.